God, you're such a troll. Take notes, young man.
This guy. It's okay.
About to school your ass.
Off camera, he roasts me all the time. He just feels bad doing it on camera.
People already think that I'm too harsh and too mean at times, so I don't need to give them more ammo.
You're not harsh or mean. You're so nice. I've had such a good day with you. I've already done so much manual labor.
True story, I've been putting in the work.
I have been, yeah, I've been doing a lot of work.
What's up, guys? I'm joined by the one and only Shaun Andersen.
How's it going, everyone?
He has an amazing YouTube channel you should check out. He's also a medical student, a second year here in Las Vegas at UNLV. And we were doing some filming today, doing some vlogging. You can see the behind the scenes stuff on his channel.
Check it out.
And figured it'd be a good opportunity to share with you guys the perspectives of two people at different stages in the training process. I did medical school. I graduated a few years ago. I was taking step one several years ago, which is what actually made me think of this. I was like, damn, I'm getting old. But I have such a different perspective. Let me talk to a current medical student who is currently studying for step one to get their insights and share it with you guys. So we'll be talking about STEP, and we're talking about medical school, and we'll be talking about YouTube and productivity as well. Let's dive in.
Let's do it.
So first off, you are taking step one right now, the first cohort as pass-fail. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so like Kevin said, I'm going to be taking step one January 31st. Which is part of the first cohort to ever take a pass-fail step. I personally am all for it. I have a pass-fail curriculum at my school. I like how much it's decreased my stress levels, although there is an argument to be said that it is going to move all the stress onto step two, which I've talked to a lot of residency directors, and they're already preparing to look at step two as their kind of replacement metric. They were already looking at step two before, but now they're gonna really be looking at it almost in the same way that they were looking at step one. And so you've taken both exams. How do you feel about step two having a little bit more weight?
I think it's totally fine. So I made some other videos on both Med School Insiders and this channel about the change and what my thoughts are. In short, in summary, essentially we're shifting the focus from step one to step two CK. Because now step 2 CS is also
canceled.
Yeah. Thankfully, that was a waste of time and effort.
Good.
And money. Essentially, step 2 CK is more clinically relevant, which is a good thing. It's more applicable, I think, for residency selection. However, there was also an argument that was being made that step one is too stressful and therefore we need to make it pass-fail. That's a solution. Look, I'm not against pass-fail in a principle of itself, right? So my first 2 years of medical school were pass-fail, the preclinical years. Yours are as well?
Yeah.
And your clinical are graded?
Yes. Well, yeah.
Yes, but actually no.
You have honors pass-fail, honors high pass-fail?
No, we don't have any sort of honors or high pass. We just have pass-fail. That's it. There is no...
Okay.
Yeah.
So at my school, the theory was that preclinical is not as relevant. Make it pass-fail, reduce the stress, increase the collaboration among students. And then clinical, you want ways to differentiate students. So you do the honors, high pass, pass-fail, or some similar form of grading. The thing is, by making step one pass-fail, you're not necessarily reducing stress, maybe for that one exam, but now there's more pressure on step two.
Yeah.
Because initially, if you didn't do well on step one, you had step 2 CK to make up for it. And there's a lot of students who, let's say they want to do derm or plastics, and they get a 235 or a 240, which are fine scores, but are not as competitive in those fields, then they can say, hey, let me get a 260 on step 2 CK to make up for it and show that I have the ability to score well on these standardized exams. So you no longer have that with step one. The other thing I'm worried about is if students are now taking step one lightly and they're not really putting in that much effort, that's going to hinder their step 2 CK performance. It's not necessarily that I'm think that's a bad thing. It's more that those students who do put a lot of effort into step one will do well on step 2 CK, and that will show. So the people that are really hardcore, that really want to score well, it may even be easier for them to separate themselves with step 2 CK because they'll probably also try hard for step one. The alternate is that now with step one being pass-fail, you have more time because you're not studying as hard. So maybe you focus more on research. Maybe you get more publications.
And that's actually something I wanted to mention as well. So that is actually exactly what I'm going to be doing. So I've got a few research projects going on, and the fact that step one is going to be pass-fail, and my school gives us a reasonable amount of time to prepare for it, even outside of dedicated, I get to focus more on those projects. So I'm actually having the ability to balance more projects. I think I'm on 4 projects right now. And during the school year, I couldn't really focus on all those ones. But now that we're moving into kind of our pre-dedicated block, I have a lot more time to focus on those projects. And later down the line, when I hopefully, knock on wood, have more publications and all that kind of stuff, I can look back and be I'm just glad that I had the time to do all that.
So overall, what I would say is that step one being pass-fail it's not necessarily a net positive or a net negative. I think it's a mixed bag. It depends on how you place your relative importance and weighting on these various factors, whether it's good or bad for you. And ultimately, just like you need to adapt to the new situation, the new system. You're still gonna be stressed for step 2 CK because it's really important.
It's stressful no matter what. It'll be interesting, you know, since I'm living through this, it'll be interesting to revisit this in a few years from now, especially after I've taken step 2 or I've just applied to residency. It'll be interesting to look back as the first cohort to take a pass-fail step and see, did it help? Did it make a difference? Were residency programs just looking at step 2 the same way as step 1, or did they review applicants more holistically? I don't know. We're gonna find out. I have to find out at some point, right? So it'll be interesting.
Well, the thing with residency admissions is that they need to screen through a lot of applicants. They can't review holistically every single applicant.
Yeah,
so they still need,
as nice as it sounds.
Yeah, they still need some metric to actually sift through, and numbers are easy metrics.
It's just like the MCAT.
Exactly, it's the same thing. Like so many medical schools are inundated with applicants. They can't review thousands and thousands of people. They need to have some cutoffs. They need to have some numbers. So again, sounds good in theory, but I think for admissions it's going to be more or less the same, with just the focus on step 2 score rather than step 1 score.
Yeah.
Okay, next topic we thought would be valuable to you guys is YouTube. So I started my channel in 2016. When did you start yours?
August 2019.
And I'm sure for myself, there's things that I would have done differently, some lessons I've learned. So I want to share those with you guys, and I'm sure you also feel the same way.
Yeah, I feel like I've learned a lot. I'm still learning, so I'm sure you guys can see this. Kevin has a lot more subscribers just across the board than I do. So
it's
I'm
not
still
just subscribers though. But
you still learn a lot. Like even
I'm learning about vlogging from you and like vlogging principles, because vlogging is actually kind of fun.
It's super fun. We have a vlog camera set up right over here.
Behind the scenes on his channel.
Yeah, check it out. Well, speaking of vlogging, actually, it's kind of a good transition because one of the lessons I learned was what kind of videos do I like to make. So when I started YouTube in 2019, it was kind of during the year that I was applying for medical school. So I actually started vlogging during my first ever medical school interview. So I had no idea I was even gonna get into medical school. I had no acceptances. I didn't even know what I was doing. I just pulled out a camera in my hotel room and just like set it down and started talking to it. And then I uploaded it. And over the course of that year, I basically uploaded a few different types of videos, but primarily they were kind of just like videos like this, more so like sitting down and kind of just talking to the camera, talking head. And I talked about a few different things like how I studied for the MCAT, you know, application tips, interview tips. But when med school started, I learned I actually don't like filming videos like that. I'm actually terrible at it. I'm terrible at talking scripted, and I learned that I actually prefer vlogging, and I really like vlogging because I don't have to script anything. I kind of pull out the camera and just show my experiences, because personally I don't feel like I'm an expert on much of anything, but I do like being able to show my experiences. So if someone learns something, you know, through that, then then that's valuable to them. And so I learned after a year that was just the style of video I like. So now my channel is pretty much only vlogs. Like I've vlogged every single week for the past year and a half almost. I haven't missed a single week in like over a year of just vlogs. And so that was a lesson I learned. And that's something I think every YouTuber has to go through. Like, what kind of videos do you like to make? What are you more natural at? It
makes it more sustainable, right? If you're trying to do videos that you don't enjoy, you're probably going to stop at some point.
Yeah. And you have to experiment a little bit. Like you have to try, you know, Kevin used to vlog a couple times. He's put some vlogs up. But you learned that you prefer these kinds of like informational videos like talking head, right?
Let me just give a brief overview of my channel. So Med School Insiders was the first channel, animated. There's no, like, I rarely ever show my face there. I definitely don't do that anymore. It's all animated and scripted, and I do a voiceover sent to my animator kind of thing. I used to animate myself. That's actually a lesson that we'll talk about in a second, is outsourcing. And then I created it was called Life of a Surgeon, this channel, before I changed it to Kevin Jubbal MD, because it was gonna be a vlog channel. So if you go to the first episodes, it was a lot of like me trying to vlog or squeeze things in a busy day. And it was once I quit plastic surgery that I was like, well, can't call it Life of a Surgeon anymore. And like me vlogging about starting this business is not gonna be as exciting, because there was a lot of just like me sitting at a computer working for 16 hours a day at the beginning of when I first left. It's interesting because I have 2 channels, right?
Yeah.
One channel I treat as a very strict and regimented business. New video every Saturday, 8 a.m., no matter what. This channel, like, I experiment with. And there's pros and cons to both. This one I feel is more fun and creative, because I'm doing like car videos, I'm doing tea videos, I'm doing Q&As. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. And there's a little more creativity, whereas that is more like I'm building a business. And the numbers show, right? Med School Insiders, we grew to 100K in like 5 months, 200K in 11 months.
Crazy.
We're now at like 1.3 mil. So like it's been steady growth because I'm treating it as such. Whereas this channel, I'm all over the place. And because of that, it definitely hinders the performance. You know, if you're out there trying to start a YouTube channel, one thing I would say is figure out what you want to do and try to stick with it. There's definitely a way to indulge your creativity and be consistent. Like if this channel was just vlogs, it would probably grow a lot faster. But because I want to treat this as like a creative endeavor and not feel restricted and want to really just explore and have fun with it, I'm not holding myself to that same standard of let me grow this channel to like, you know, I want to keep growing the business and like the next thing. It's more just for fun. So that kind of relates to your point on find the videos you enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. You're gonna mention outsourcing. This is actually a conversation we had like a couple nights ago because I was telling him, you know, I as a medical student, current medical student, and you know what this was like. We don't have that much time, like ever. Like, and for me, I video edit like pretty much at the end of my weeks, at the end of my days, and sometimes I should be studying, but I'm video editing. And he was just telling me about, you know, hey, maybe you want to look into outsourcing. And that's a current lesson I am about to go through, but you learned it yourself because I'm sure you used to work on your own videos a lot more than you do now.
Yeah, I used to animate and edit both channels myself, and then that quickly became unsustainable. I've talked to some other YouTubers as well who think that they need to edit their own videos because there's some storytelling, there's some like things they like and they don't like. And I get that. I think that an editor, even if they aren't gonna do exactly what you want, they can get you 90% there. That alone, saving up your time and being able to produce more content with it, 90% editing good enough, is usually worth it. What I'm also gonna say is that oftentimes, if it's a talking head video like this, where the editing isn't as critical compared to something like a vlog where you wanna like have transitions and you like, when you're shooting it, you know what you want in post, then it's probably even easier. In fact, they do a better job because my editor is awesome. He has these like funny effects and backgrounds and like things that I don't even know how to do. He's doing it because he's a professional, right? And I'm not a professional video editor. The friends who I've spoken to that did outsource, ultimately they say, damn, I wish I should have done this sooner. The other thing I'm gonna say is don't rush it. You first wanna be pulling in money from your YouTube channel to then fund it, because a lot of us don't have spare cash. We're like, yeah, let me just hire an editor. But you can find editors relatively affordable, online, overseas. Like once you get momentum, that's when I think you should look for editors or animators. All right, so finally, let's talk about productivity. In med school, I think a lot of us learn the importance of productivity and we are short on time. Got to figure out how to do a lot of things in less time while still somehow sleeping an adequate number of hours. So what's been your experience? You're now in the thick of it, actually.
Yeah, so productivity has been a huge part of my medical school experience. When I look back on my first year, I remember thinking like, I cannot get a lot done in a day. Like I would get really tired. I would do like something for like half an hour and then I would go like lay down and like scroll through TikTok for like 20 minutes because I just like could not like maintain a level of productivity. And it got better. Like the more I started doing different things and fitting in, it was almost like kind of like when you work out. The more you work out, the more you can like lift, right? You can like build your way up to like heavier weights.
Progressive overload.
Exactly. I felt like the more I added to my schedule and the more like over time, I felt like I was actually able to manage it. Now I look at my vlogs and it doesn't feel like sometimes during the day that I'm doing a whole lot, but I'm editing my videos and I'm like, did I really do all that in a day? Like I woke up at like 5 a.m., did Anki, I went to the gym, I went to class, I came home, I had 3 meetings, I did practice questions with my classmate, and then I edited at the end of the day. I'm like, how did I actually fit all that in?
So part of it is building endurance.
A lot of it's endurance, and I think that's one of the big things. I think people try to do a lot like really soon or like early on and just try to pull a bunch of stuff together. You really have to do it incrementally. You really have to like add on responsibilities over time, but if you can't handle all of it, you're just gonna get subpar results on all of it, right? You're not gonna be able to put out good work.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this also relates to the phenomenon that people always look back and they think, oh, that was so much easier, versus how you felt in the moment. Like in the moment as a pre-med, I thought being pre-med was pretty tough. And then I started my first year of med school and I was like, man, med school is so much harder than pre-med.
Yeah.
And then second year, oh my God, second year so much harder than first year. But in those moments, first year felt tough. As a pre-med felt tough. As a second year, MS2 felt tough. And then as you keep going on, usually it gets harder in some way. Like I remember my away rotations as a 4 were definitely the toughest time for me in med school. You just keep layering it on. You can grow that muscle. But what I also want to say is that part of it is you understanding yourself better. So part of it is the endurance, but then you also know that, hey, you know what? I'm sharp during these hours and I'm not so sharp in the afternoons. So I'm going to work out between 1 and 3. That's actually what I did in medical school because I was sharp in the mornings. And then after eating food and having what's it called? Food coma?
Food comas.
If I was wearing a level CGM, I'd probably be able to better control that. I wouldn't be spiking.
You probably spiked your glucose like multiple times a day, right?
Yeah, I was probably eating garbage. I thought I was eating so healthy. I was like, yeah, I'm plant-based, and it was a lot of carbs though. Plant-based is usually very, very carb heavy.
Yeah.
I digress. So yeah, part of it is understanding just yourself, your schedule, what works for you. I would also say that downtime optimization is huge. That's one thing that occurred for me naturally in college, and it wasn't until later on that, talking to other people, that I was like, no, this is a skill that not everyone just gravitates to naturally. That's super, super critical, which is study for 2 hours or however long you can without your focus falling off a cliff. And then when you need a break, do something else productive. Go make dinner, go shower, go do laundry, go do some errand that you need to do, rather than
let me just do Instagram.
Yeah, actually 2 examples of that for me is halfway through my first year, I got a desk bicycle. So it's like a bicycle that has like a desktop on top of it. And I started doing Anki on the bicycle with my laptop on the desk. And so I was doing my Anki and I was exercising, which are 2 things I wanted to do in my day. And I was able to do it. And
crushing it, dude.
Yeah, it was
productivity level 9,000.
It's over 9,000!
No, trust me, the amount of questions I got about it, they were like, oh my gosh, why haven't I ever thought about this? And more recently, now I actually when I'm doing dishes, for example, I have my iPad on the sink and I rewatch Boards and Beyond or Pathoma at 2 times speed. So I'm doing dishes, I'm doing something with my hands, I'm not taking notes or anything, but I'm listening to something I've already listened to, but it's kind of just reinforcing it.
I did something similar. Step 1, studying when it wasn't pass fail is pretty intense. And for that reason, I was trying to optimize every moment. And one of those moments was eating lunch. So I gave myself a 30-minute break to watch or to eat lunch. And I would watch sketchy videos. Sketchy Micro back then is the only thing they had, but it was so helpful for microbiology. Was it studying? Yeah, but it also felt much easier to watch sketchy videos and not have to worry about taking notes. I was just gonna keep watching the videos, and overall, that was a way that, in hindsight, oh my god, that was so hardcore that my break was studying.
Yeah.
But it worked. It worked in that moment.
Yeah, like you said, productive downtime. You're if you can make it still feel kind of relaxing, because usually it will be compared to the really diligent sitting at your desk kind of studying. It helps a lot, because I used to, again,
the intensity of watching something is lower, right?
It is. It's lower. It's a little bit more passive, and I think that mixing in active productivity with passive productivity, I think really helps throughout the day.
There's also this really hot topic right now about toxic productivity.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a real thing. I mean, I experience it all the time. There are some times where I could be taking downtime, but I want to be doing other types of work to the point where I get burnt out. I've been burnt out a couple times. Not a couple times. I've been burnt out a lot of days over the past year, especially while being in medical school. I think, and this is a trap that people I think fall into, the more productive they get, when you aren't being productive, you feel terrible. You feel kind of bad about yourself, even though you might actually be really productive compared to other people. There is a line that you do have to draw.
It almost feels weird after you've been studying really hard for a test like step 1 or step 2 to then be done and then not know what to do with your time. You're like, wait, I should be studying, but I don't need to. Yeah. And I remember that feeling after most exams. What has worked for me is actually protecting time for myself or having rules, because can we just go with the flow? Sure. But then sometimes we end up falling to the trap where we always want to get more done, right? So one of those rules that I created a couple years ago was that weekends, I cannot say no to a social engagement in order to go work more, to catch up on work, to do whatever. If someone invites me to something or there's something going on, I have to go to that. And maybe I can do some work when I'm back or in the morning or at night, but I can't say no to social obligations or just social plans, because that, for me, as I learned the hard way during COVID, is really important just for my own sanity, my own happiness. One of those guide rails for me is social interaction. And then beyond that, I'll say that we often think that the solution to us getting more done is being more productive, putting in more hours, trying to optimize the extra 5% here and there. When in reality, it's not. I feel pretty comfortable with my level of productivity right now, and I could definitely squeeze out another 5% for sure. If I really wanted to, 5%, 10%, absolutely. But to really grow my businesses or really get the vision that I have for my future, is not gonna happen by me squeezing out 10%. It's gonna happen by me focusing on leverage, right? By hiring people, by delegating, by building something bigger than just myself. Like for example, if you're a student and you're doing research, there's ways to collaborate with other people and you can get more done by working together. A lot of I have like, I don't know, 60 something publications, which is way more than I could do by myself. A lot of it was by working with different people. And you'll see me and my friend collaborate on a lot of projects. That's why a lot of us were on similar papers. So that's another example of like leveraging your efforts. As a student, it could also be super relevant to start leveraging technology, like pay the extra, $5 or $10 a month to get the subscription to, whatever cloud storage, or, there's different services you can use that are gonna make your life easier if you're buying convenience. Like I remember I was so reluctant to buy Google Drive premium storage for like $10 a month or whatever it was. And I was handling hard drives and transferring files, not a good use of my time, right? So small things like that can make a massive difference. Another one for me was actually getting groceries delivered.
Oh, nice.
So I only started doing that my 4th year when I was doing sub internships. I didn't have a car. And I remember I first got my groceries on a bicycle and I had like the panniers on the back.
Wow.
And it was like, it took so long. It was this huge ordeal. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I just pay $15 to get Instacart groceries delivered? And once I started doing that, I was like, Kevin, why did you not do this sooner?
Do you still do that today?
No.
You're like, you have a little bit more time now, or?
During COVID, I used Amazon to deliver
Okay.
Whole Foods all the time.
Ooh, nice.
But nowadays, I use getting groceries as one of my breaks.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I like going to Costco. So
Costco's nice. It's a trap, but it's nice.
I do like Costco. I like going to Costco, and I don't actually cook much these days. I'm cooking a lot during COVID. I'm not cooking much these days, so I don't really need to get groceries that often. Thanks for watching, guys. That was a lot of fun. If you haven't already, check out Shaun's channel.
Definitely.
Anything you want to say?
No, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. I don't usually do videos like this ever, like these sit down, like fancy studio lights. So this was great. If you guys want us to do more of it, let us know in the comment section down below.
Much love, guys. See you in the next one.